I'm trying to be my best behavior for tonight because
You're not doing a good job by showing up 20 minutes late.
Discipline like live on the air.
You better give up the ass tonight.
Jesus fucking Christ, Alex. I'm good. Nati, last time you said you were going to start cold approaching women, like hitting on women.
do you guys
How the hell did that go?
Did
No, we haven't watched that.
awful. It went awful. It went miserable. I did not enjoy it at all. The first time went awful. The second time was a little better, but I think I got myself into the friend zone more than anything.
That's
Okay.
not a surprise.
Was it hard to like explain to women that you're actually hitting on them?
And not just like telling them that they're pretty.
Yeah,
I don't think I don't think that message came across. No.
But like the only phone number she got was under the pretense of like helping them with their career. Like
Right, she turned into like a nice guy. She's like, maybe I'll just help this woman with her
she was
career
like,
for a year.
I do marketing. I can help you. Yeah, I'll connect you with people. Let me get your number. And she's like, yeah, I got her number. I'm like, yeah.
So I don't know that you'd do any better if you started hitting on women.
No, I don't think I ever want to.
Natty did it.
Doesn't mean that I'm.
Being a
People climb
lesbian
Everest.
is hard.
She only did it for a video though. She wouldn't do it like on her own, and that required like massive amounts of guilt and shame on my part.
Yeah.
You got it done though.
Well, oh, you want my channel to suffer? You don't care about me? You want me to be homeless?
So like where he was like, you don't care about my career. I was like, oh. So it did require a lot of pushing into it.
Yeah,
The
she
first
tried to
time
like 20 times.
was not that really good. But like I think Alex did give me good pointers, but the thing that he didn't realize is that it was my first time hitting on women, and I don't think the friend zone. I did a horrible job making it across that. Hey, I want to do something. I have nefarious intentions.
Jesus fucking Christ. I have nefarious intentions. One of my coaching clients, one of the biggest things that he's worried about is like, what if I come across as like creepy or something? You saying nefarious intentions is probably not helping him.
But
You're innocent. You're just trying to get some girl love.
It's really hard to cross the line as a girl. If you watch like the girl on girl speed dates I do, the girls can go like ultra sexual and it works out. So it's like close to impossible to like go over the top as a girl. It's a lot easier to do that as a guy.
Because you're never going to get that creepy label.
Yeah. You're like 100 pounds. You're tiny. Like no one's going to think.
Exactly. Everyone's like, if anything, I am adorable. I can say the meanest thing. And
you can go to a girl and be like, I have nefarious intentions. She'll be like, oh.
Yeah. I'm literally a fucking creep. I'm like the creepiest woman you're ever going to meet.
Insulted
Well, she is the creepiest woman you'll
a
ever meet.
guy, and like in a very like mean way, and he was like, oh, you're so adorable. So,
Yeah, like we do that.
so
We
much.
do that as men. Feminists come knocking, the police come, going to jail.
We can go so much. I can get away with so much just being 5 feet tall and 100 and X amount of pounds.
So what were you actually saying? Like, how were you making it clear, like, I'm hitting on you? I'm not just trying to be a
He
friend. Did
wasn't,
you say,
that's
like,
the
yo,
thing.
you're sexy?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I failed miserably. I failed very.
It was enough of a challenge just getting her to approach the girl as is.
Yeah.
And like there was like she was like already like when like someone's like at a point of an emotional breakdown, she was already like flirting with that line. So if I gave her any more like instructions, she would just like melt down. So yeah.
I think I low key kind of like cry a little bit. I was like, "Are you doing this for show?" I was like, "No, I mean everything. It's not for the shows of it. It's like I mean it. It's
So funny how easy women have it when it comes to dating. You guys don't have to do shit.
Well, you said it before. What about lesbians?
That's going to be a rough time.
I think it's easier as lesbians because I think that there's more trust because it's like a woman. Like women naturally trust other women, they don't trust men. So I mean, it's definitely tougher than being a straight woman for sure. But I don't know if it's as hard as being a straight guy.
Should we tell them the story of
What story?
that girl that we dated,
Yeah, sure.
the
Go.
ginger chick?
So we were seeing a girl, and she had a girlfriend, and I think they'd been together for about 9 months. And so this girl was seeing us, and she hadn't had sex with her girlfriend, and they'd like gone to hotel rooms together, and
Gotten drunk together a million times.
the most that they ever got was they made out with each other because each of them, and she even said to us like she was waiting for her girlfriend to make the move and her girlfriend wasn't making any moves, and so nothing ever happened. And last time we heard from her, she was dating a guy.
There's
So-
two women sitting there waiting for one of them to escalate and like be
Yeah, that will
drunk in
never
hotel
happen.
rooms and
I imagine that it must be hard. I'll ask my lesbian friend how does it work.
Who's your lesbian friend?
I don't think you've met her.
why
Is
not?
that because she doesn't exist?
No, she don't. Your roommate met her. Your roommate met her.
Did he? Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, we went out with her, and
Mm.
so yeah, I hang out with a lot of people that Alex. It's so.
You do not. You do nothing without my permission.
Oh.
Jesus Christ. Okay, on that note,
Mm-hmm.
how long have you guys actually been together?
Dating.
Whatever you want to define it, you put a
We've known
label
each
on it.
other
Alex
for
is probably
3
gonna say
years,
it.
been dating for about 2 years.
3 years.
There
Yeah.
you go. That's pretty good. How did you guys meet?
Bumble.
Oh, I gave it 3 months, and 3 years later, here I am.
Because you told us last time you thought he was like a fuckboy when you first met, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was in
He
the
still
mood
thinks that.
I still think he's a fuck boy. I'm not gonna lie, but like I was not looking for a serious relationship. Like I had a plan. I was like, I need a booty call who's close to where I live. And then like after things get easier, like after like a few months, I'm gonna start dating.
Mhm.
But, like I'll have my booty call on the side. Things did not go according to my plan.
Okay, how come? Why? Like Alex obviously has some qualities that you
I just
like.
fucked over every relationship every potential relationship for her. I just masterminded things behind the back. And,
Yeah.
like,
Pulling the strings.
eventually, she came to a point where she's now stuck in a trap, and she realizes that I'm the best.
She's left now, so you're fucked. Look, there you go.
That's it. I evil masterminded that.
She'll come back.
We are
Okay, I'll ask you the question then, Alex. Like, why did she stay?
I think there's a few reasons. One, we kind of liked each other, but also sex was really good. I don't know. I'm really persistent, so like I think there was like once or twice where she like wanted to end things, and I just like talked her out of it.
He manipulated me, led me into stay.
Yeah, manipulated, a little bit of manipulation, shit like that. I don't know, man. I think it's a combination of things.
Nati?
I think one of the reasons why I stayed. I mean, when we were booty calls, of course, you know, and I think that's one of the risks you have when you have booty calls and you don't make things official, and like no one from neither person makes the things official. People exercise their options. So I'm not gonna lie, I was type of just like seeing what was out there. I wasn't really dating much, but I wanted to see what life brought.
Mhm.
And I think chemistry, people undermine the chemistry aspect. I think especially black pillars undermine the chemistry aspect of things. Sometimes you can have very good chemistry with people, and I think that does play a factor. And the thing that he's not very needy. I'm someone who's highly independent, and for me, finding someone who's not needy and who does not kind of like guilt trips me into fitting into the schedule. I think that we as women we tend to be the ones who give a lot. And for me, it was important to find someone who was not needy at all, and Alex had that.
Long story
Listen.
short, she stayed for the cloud.
I did not stay for the cloud. I did not stay for the cloud. I think that like the neediness, like the neediness aspect. I think that he's also someone who has a lot of self confidence. He can live without me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He chooses me and he doesn't need me, and I like that. I like.
I feel like we had this conversation at least a tiny bit last time where it's like you want someone, generally speaking, that wants to be with you but doesn't feel like they need to be with you, because that's such a fucking burden. If it's like, you know, if I feel like this guy needs me, like his life would fall apart if he didn't have me. Well, what happens when I'm busy? What happens if I'm sad? What happens if I'm with my friends? What happens if I'm 20 minutes late for a podcast? Like, he's going to fall apart.
Imagine I'm just crying like she played.
She's not here. Maybe she doesn't love me. Maybe she's riding that cock carousel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it is pretty funny. But speaking of the cock carousel, like paranoia, it's like I don't know. Whenever I do live stream, whenever people are like, "Oh, where's Natty?" I'm like, "Oh, she's at home," or she's like she's on a work trip, and like it's like simp. She's probably getting fucked by 10 black dudes right now. That's always like the association. Anytime a girl's like not with her boyfriend, it's like there's a black guy gangbang that's going on. That's the only possible explanation.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
there's like
And all the dudes have humongous schlongs, and they're all making fun of you and saying, "Yeah,
And high-fiving each other.
yeah."
Yeah. Yeah.
no, and I think that the fact that he was also not very jealous. At the time, he was very confident, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not that jealous." I think that also helped, and then we became friends, and that really, really, really helped. There was a time where I was like, "Hey, if things end, would we still be friends?" Because I was like, "Well, like like if things end, if this doesn't lead to anything, if we're not a good match to date, I want to have him in my life." And he's like, "No, I'm not gonna be your friend." So I was like, "Oh shit, let me give it a chance."
Yeah. Yeah. We had the same sort of conversation, yeah.
About
Like friendship.
that would hurt. No,
Yeah, I
would
was like, I
not.
don't think I could be your
No.
friend afterwards. No. And like
Because then I'd
sometimes
see you
can,
dating
but-
other people, and you'd seem it'd make me sad. I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's like you want to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I mean, like at the time we were not dating though. We were kind of like booty calls, and I was like, "Oh, I want to be your friend. Like let me get to know you better as a friend."
I think we theoretically could be friends if we break up, as long as you become an incel and you don't hang out with
I
any
knew you
guy.
were going to fucking
As
say
long as
that.
I don't have to. So as long as you're just kind of like a cheerleader and just like you're like not you're completely staying celibate, then I think we could potentially be friends.
Wait,
Alex is like that overprotective father who's like, no, my daughter is never going to sleep with anyone outside of Christian marriage. Like,
Yeah.
but Alex,
goodness. And also,
On
I
the-
met his mom, and I fell in love with his mom, and I'm not joking.
so it's his mum. It's his mummy.
Yeah,
There you
they
go.
really-
Alex
they
is a
really-
mummy boy confirmed.
I fell in
Okay.
love with that woman. I was like, when I met his mom, I was like, any hesitation I had about him, I was like, there's no way this amazing woman can have a crappy son. So let me get to know him better.
So there you go, Alex. That's your next video idea. Mum game, like how to woo
Right.
women by bringing your mum on your first date.
Although I got really lucky that my mom is like super duper like everyone who meets my mom loves my mom. She's like she's not like me at all. She's like very warm and like just ultra kind and altruistic. Like I mean I am to a small extent, but she's like
You're kind. You just put jokes in front of it.
Yeah, he's
But my
awesome.
mom is more like she's a lot. I'm like kind of coldish. My mom's like a lot warmer. She's not what you would expect from like a Russian woman. She's more of like you would think she's like has a personality of like a Hispanic grandma or something like that. Someone who's like very warm and fuzzy, which is very different because my dad is the exact opposite. And I probably came out somewhere in the middle.
And
On
his
the-
mom and I actually had the conversation. She's like, I don't care. Like, you will always be in my life. And I was like, oh, thank you.
There you go. See, I'm telling you, he's like bringing his mum in because it's like mom's gonna be my wingman.
I mean, it is really hard to that could work. You're saying that's a joke, but there's an element of truth to it. Like it is like close to impossible to like dislike my mom. Like I don't know. I don't think I've ever met anyone who dislikes my mom. Like she's just like very lovable. So I could actually use that.
You could use that in your favor.
Yeah.
It's like how guys bring dogs. Like, you know what I mean? You bring your cute little dog. It's like, oh, there you go. If she doesn't like me, she'll like the dog. You stick a dog on your Tinder profile. Boom.
Yeah, I'm like the nicest mom, the cutest dog. Yeah, like I can
Yeah.
use my side tools.
He can hypergamy his way with his dog and mom. No one can-
The girls like, hey, sorry, I'm not feeling like. Hang on a second, let me have my mom call you.
You want to read my mom really quick?
That'd probably
Hang on.
work
Before
too.
you make any decisions, let me get my mom on FaceTime. Okay?
Yeah, it's like before you ghost me, you have to tell my mum why you're ghosting me. Look her in the eyes while she's crying. Yeah. On the topic of jealousy and like you not being a jealous dude, Alex, was that something
No,
that
no,
you?
no. He is jealous now. He's
Well, that
completely jealous.
I
that destroys
wasn't
the
jealous
entire
initially,
question.
but as we started dating, I became jealous. Yeah, it changed.
Yeah, it's changed.
I'm not jealous at all if I don't really like care for the person. But if
Mm.
I like start to develop feelings for the person, I can be jealous. No, I wouldn't say I'm like more jealous than the average guy. I just think that she's used to me like circa 2018, 2019 when there was zero jealousy, and now I'm like I feel like I'm not. I'm actually I feel like I'm still less jealous than the average boyfriend probably would be. Like I feel like a lot of like some of the things I'm cool with, like a lot of boyfriends might like fuss about.
Mm.
What does jealousy look like to you, Alex? Like, how does that play out?
Um, just us having I mean, it's never like in the way. It's not like the way it plays out in the movies or anything like that. It's like just us having a conversation and me like calmly explaining why something makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, dude, that's so fucking unbelievably common. That was going to be one of my questions as well. Like the dynamic you guys have, is in where you're very like open with your life. You know what I mean? Like you put it all, it's on the fucking internet. Do you feel like that's helped you be more communicative? Like you have to talk about stuff, or were you doing that beforehand?
We were doing
I
that.
think that the internet, if anything, the public scrutiny might work against us.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Even
I
in
don't.
private, like you find it harder to talk in private because that's
No,
what I'm
no,
talking
no.
about.
We have a very easy time talking in private, but in terms of like the public thing, that like sometimes like I don't know, like I'll have her on for a podcast, and she says something that I know is a joke, but it's not like super obvious that's a joke, and then like people like think that it's a serious
Dude,
thing,
yep,
and then, like
yep.
in private, I would never be offended about, but because of the public backlash, for example, like it causes like a little bit of an issue. So I feel like the public thing is a challenge rather than an asset.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Like I've had a couple of videos where it's like at 20 minutes and 43 seconds you can see that Imogen rolled her eyes. This clearly shows that the two of them have a bad relationship, blah blah blah. And you're like, she rolled her eyes because I made a joke, and that's what she always does when
It
like
was a bad joke.
yeah, I completely understand what you're talking about. It's like because people can freeze the video and overanalyze everything and like, what did Natty mean when she said this? Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
get
there's
it,
also a
especially a
really
channel your
weird
size.
obsession with Natty, like on the internet, which is like it's dude, like some of these guys will literally just like I'm doing a live stream, I'm talking about something like really funny or really important, and all the chat is doing about is arguing about whether Natty is a 6 or 7 or 5. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
remember the podcast we did with you guys? They were like just discussing what level Natty is, and Natty's this, and then the comments were like, Andy's a 4 and his girlfriend is a 6. No, I think his girlfriend is a 7. No, 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 she's like an 8. Like, but Natty's definitely a 8.4. Like,
Three or like a three or
we got a 4. Remember? We one of the girls that we dated on Reddit. They said like this girl's a 4,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's not very nice.
She was such a little sweetheart.
Yeah, she's
too.
a nice person too. She's fucking hot.
Never
too.
tell her that.
She was the most attractive out of the 3. Well, I'm supposed to say you're the most attractive, aren't I? There you go. I fucked that one up. She was the second most attractive.
there's also like a lot of lies. What kind of does bug me is like all the lies they're told about Natty. Like there's this idea that she's like there's so many like really weird narratives that exist. Like one is that I'm paying for money, or she's in it for the cloud, even though she doesn't have like a YouTube channel or anything. I don't know what kind of cloud she's getting. I never really post her on my Instagram, but she's in it for the cloud, or I'm like paying her behind the scenes. That's one narrative, which is just like absurd. Another narrative is that she's like this super fucking promiscuous girl that's just like fucking every guy. Just like the stay-at-home cuck who's just like sitting at home and just like, hey babe, yeah, you can fuck Jamal. Yeah, like so there's that narrative.
or
And
that
then she's kind of like master manipulator and is like playing me like a puppet. Like,
But you freaking joke about that, Alex. Like you joked about it twice on this podcast.
yeah, but I mean, I feel like it's really obvious that I'm kidding.
I know that.
Yeah, but
you get
people
some
aren't
guy.
as
Yeah,
sharp as
yeah.
you
you'll
might
be
hope
taught
they would
how
be.
simple people can be, or that I have
Yeah.
such low self-esteem that
Yeah, that's another one. And Natty's like just some like wounded bird who's just like
he just like
incapable of,
takes
like,
everything
yeah,
that
takes
you
everything.
look at me.
Yeah, that she hates our relationship, but she's just doing it because I've like tricked her into it. That's another one.
That's
How is that for you, Natty? Is that weird getting that kind of stuff?
for me the most like I usually don't care about like what people say because like I know me, I know us, and it works for us. But to me, the narrative that promiscuous or that Alex pays me, it pisses me off because I'm highly independent and I work very hard for what I got. That when it's like, oh shit, what's the need for that, you know? And the one with where I have a low self-esteem, I know it's not the case. Actually, I think I have a very healthy self-esteem, and I think that our relationship works so well because we take it from a place of self, and I prioritize me over him, and he
Yeah, as
prioritizes
in you're both like complete people first.
over him
Yeah.
over me, and that's what it works so well. But yeah, like the narrative that I'm having sex with other guys, it really is like, oh
It's not just like a few other guys. It's like every single night she's getting gang banged. Like
yeah,
every single time that you don't see her like on my stream, the only possible explanation it's like she can't be doing work, she can't be sleeping, she can't be eating, she has to be getting gang banged. That's like the only possible conclusion that you could come to. And it's like it's at least five guys. They all have bigger dicks than Alex, right? So yeah, it's
it's
pretty cringe.
ridiculous. It's I
I
think
feel,
it's
I feel like that triggers like insults about Natty trigger me more than they even trigger Natty because I know none of these dudes would ever say anything in real life. Like like I've never once had a situation where we're out and someone comes up and like your girlfriend's a fool. That never has happened and that never will happen. But on the internet, people like so tough, right? Because there's like no, I'm not saying that there would be a fight or something like that, but like the threat of violence is what like keeps people like somewhat civil versus like on the internet, there's like zero consequences for your words. So like people just feel so emboldened to just like be ultra nasty. It's kind of like a pet peeve of mine. I don't know. I think like if you wouldn't say something in real life, you probably shouldn't say it online. It's kind
The
of
way I look at it is it's like their first chance at practicing like actually saying what they mean. And so it's like a kid in a candy store. They just go crazy. They're like, oh my God, for the first time I can actually say what's on my brain because I'm scared to say it in public. And they kind of just go crazy with it. Like, let me say every thought that's in my head, even if it's conspiracy, even if it sounds insane, even if it's not particularly nice. Let me just blurt that out.
Yeah, yeah. There's been some funny situations. I remember when Ganstar tried to pick you up.
oh my god, like
You
there's
know, he got rejected. He deflected by saying that you were three anyway, and he wasn't interested.
That is like that's like the high school girl who's like, you know what? I didn't even like him anyway. He's stupid. Like, and she's written like a 10-page
Such
letter.
a cliche.
Yeah. It's
Aw.
literally the cliche. Yeah.
Yeah, there's this like small black girl YouTuber who's like obsessed with Natty. Like he does like videos analyzing her fucking body
face.
language, and then like he'll like if
Does
if
that
they're
bring
all-
in views to you guys? Like, is that useful?
Nah, I mean all the guys who are doing that, they're all like nobodies. Like no big YouTubers actually gonna like do that because that would be a bad PR for them.
In a weird way, is it flattering?
To have
In a really weird way, yeah. But
Glad
like,
for you, Natty.
it's probably more
know
frustrating
how
than
flattering that is, but
it's really just like funny for me because I think that like if you're like obsessed with another man's girlfriend or obsessed with like there's a really big obsession I see with like my hairline. People will do like these like fucking long ass fucking essay debates about whether my hairline is like fucked or whether I can save with a hair transplant and like how that would do. Just like this weird obsession. So I think if you're like obsessed with another man's looks or obsessed with another man's girlfriend, then like that's that means you probably don't have that much going on. I just could never imagine having the energy to like fucking spend hours analyzing Immy's body language and trying to like compare whether you can do better, Andy, or whether that she's the best you could do. It seems like a total fucking waste of time. But I guess a lot of people just have a lot of time on their hands. I think that's the.
I feel like that's when you. It's like you've hit celebrity status. You know, where people start getting obsessed about the little things.
Yeah, well, there's definitely like levels of it, right? If I was at like 1 million subscribers, it would be like 10x. If I was at like Joe Rogan level, it would be like 100x. So
Oh, dude, yeah.
kind of emphasize for like why some celebrities get like pissed off and like fucking depressed. I don't know. I feel like being a public figure, it really isn't for a lot of people. You have to have a certain type of personality, and for like a lot of people, I think most people aren't cut out to be public figures.
How much of that do you develop though? Because I know at the start, like I could not handle criticism. Like I fell apart like a baby at even the slightest criticism, and then over like 4 years, I got better at it. So, did you guys develop that?
I've always been. I think I was fairly cut out for what I do. I've always been pretty good at it and like not being affected. I mean, I was bullied in high school and like shit. So like nothing could come close to that. So I have that. And I've also had like real like fucking trauma in my life. So like nothing will ever come close to that. And that and all, but I have gotten better at it for sure. Like how I handle it's probably gotten better. But I've always been, I think, pretty good at it. It never really like faced me significantly.
What
I'm
about you,
used to
Natty?
my brother being the biggest bully ever, and my
Aw.
cousins, and people telling me like, and even like I'm Latina, like Latinos, we are the biggest bullies. One time when I was like 13, my uncle was like, "Your nose, it's so ugly, but it looks good on you." Like that was him complimenting my nose. So it's like I'm used to it. It's like
Well, that explains why you constantly talk about fucking nose jobs. Okay, that kind of puts things in
bring
perspective.
it on. Or when I would gain like a few pounds, my grandma would be like, remember, no one loves a fatty, not even their mothers. So it's like
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah.
that's my family right there. So I'm used to it. I'm used to like, and I don't let that phase me.
I still feel like there's a whole other level to it though. When there's like 20 people saying something negative in a video, that's like a lot different to like one or two people.
No, I think that
Yeah.
you need to really, in general in life, work on your self-esteem.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think
Well,
that's something that my mom, like my parents, really taught me. Like they were like, look, what's important is it's for you to love yourself. And if you love yourself, if you have the confidence, I think that's what's important. If people call you ugly, I don't let it phase me that
But
much.
I still think even a lot of people who do have confidence and have good self esteem would still like be like distraught. I mean, you
It's a
see
lot, yeah.
you hear
At the
cases all
start.
the time about like people who commit suicide because of mean comments on the internet. I mean, that's like
Yeah.
a very common thing that happens. Is like a lot of people are just like you see those comments and just like fucks with you. You're like you start believing, especially if it's like a lot of them. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
Because
I feel like it's something that most people aren't really going to be good at. Yeah, go ahead.
your brain tells you that it's not 20 people on the internet. Your brain tricks you and says, is 20 people standing in the room right now, like arguing with you? And so, at the start, it feels a bit confrontational. It's like, holy shit, there's 20 people that might get into a fucking fight with me.
Yeah,
You have to, like, rise above that and remind yourself, wait, it's just some random people on the internet. Like, I don't have to read this. They can't affect me. They can't shut my YouTube channel down.
And I think I would say even more so than that, it's not just it's 20 people. It's like everyone thinks this. There's just
Yep.
20 people here that are saying that there's actually thousands, or everybody on the street actually thinks this and they're just not saying it to me. You don't. It's hard to isolate it as like it's just this exact number of people that said it. It's like no, everyone must think this. If I've got 20 people that are saying it, there's got to be thousands of people that think it.
Yeah, but I think also another factor is like ratio. So if you're like, for me, I've never had like a bad ratio of criticism. Like the majority, like at the end of the day, the majority of people who watch my content are very supportive, right?
Yeah, you have a pretty good
There's
audience.
like the solid majority. So yeah, of course I get a shitload of criticism, but like it's balanced out by like 10 criticisms might be balanced out by 30 positive, 40 positive comments. I've never experienced like predominantly criticism, but there are YouTubers who do have that, for whom it is like 80, 90% hate, right? Like they do exist. And for them, that's got to be like really fucking hard because it's very easy to like kind of counterbalance it with like, oh, well, this dude said this thing. And there's a lot of people who still like me. So these people are just haters versus if everyone is fucking talking shit, it's like, okay. I mean, typically the people who have that kind of deserve it because typically they fucked up, but some of them didn't. Some of them were just like people who maybe said something and now like the whole world is coming after them for like what? I don't know. I think a
It's
good
when you
example
just
of that,
shut the internet off for like a week.
I think a good example of that was are you guys familiar with the Duke lacrosse? Sorry, with the Duke the Duke chick, the chick who was like who had a PowerPoint presentation about the guy she fucked. She went to
No.
Duke.
This
It was
guy who
like
did the like rape accusation.
no, totally different.
Okay.
Just both happened to go to the same school. This was like 7, 8 years ago, but there was this girl who like had this like funny PowerPoint presentation that she would send to her friends about like rating the guys that she's had sex with, right? And it was really actually really funny. And then that got out. Some people shared it, and then it went viral. And she was just like shamed, like so bad. She's like, "This girl's a slut. She's a dirty whore. She look what she's doing. She's like rating guys because it was like kind of tongue in cheek. It was like she would be like good oral skills, but dick 3 out of 10, like stuff like that. And like she got so much hate, like that chick had to like turn down. Like so, if you're like in that situation where it's like you didn't really do anything wrong, but most people are still coming after you, that's gotta suck. Fortunately, I've never really had to experience that.
But don't you think, Alex, that you do experience it a lot, like especially on TikTok?
No, it's still predominantly love.
Really?
Yeah.
Or when you did that experiment on the woman's Facebook group, all them horrible things they said.
But there was like 5 or 10 girls versus like the thousands of people who love me.
That's true. That's true.
So it was still a ratio.
Yeah, so that ratio thing always makes you feel better.
Yeah, I think so. I think the point I'm just making is that it's got to be a lot harder when it's like you don't have more people on your side.
For sure, man. Yeah. When it feels like the entire internet's coming after you, for sure. That's
Yeah,
an
yeah,
entirely
well,
different
yeah.
kettle of fish, yeah. Yeah. But I think for the most part, you've avoided that because I think for a lot of the content that you do, or most of the content you do, is like, I'm trying to give value. I'm trying to help people. Like, I'm here for a purpose. And I think people can see that and they're like, oh, okay, like this is a decent guy who's trying to actually help me. I'm not going to pile on top of him. Or if people do pile on top of him, okay, we'll write some nice comments back.
Yeah, I think it's important to like. This is why I never lie, because if you get caught in one lie, it's
Oh,
like
man,
typically those people get into those situations because they got caught in something like that they weren't supposed to be doing, either a lie or like some situation. So as long as you don't do anything that's like hypocritical, you'll probably be okay. But yeah, all it takes is like a few incidents where you're like, like I don't know, you said something but you did another thing. Like I was watching this video. Today. It's called like 8 YouTubers who ruined their career with one video. And this one guy, I mean, this is really fucked up. I'm not defending it, but it's also kind of funny. So this dude, for clout, pretending like his girlfriend died, and he did this like really emotional video where he was like, "I'm so distraught. She got hit by a car. This is the place where she got hit by a car," right? He was like crying and shit like that. And then it came out like a month later that his girlfriend was like really well alive and shit. And she was just like, she didn't even know about the whole thing. She was like, what the fuck? Like, why are people saying I'm dead? And a bunch of people like called the police department. They found out that the girlfriend wasn't died. So he got like massive backlash. Or there was another one where this chick, she her whole thing was like being dog friendly. Like, my dog is my best friend. I love my dog. And then this video came out of her like hitting her dog and shit. And then like, obviously that's really fucked up. But like, yeah, like those are the kind of incidents that just get you like fucking ratioed hard.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, it's like that one moment in time where you fucked up and the internet put the spotlight on it. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, kind of on a slightly related, slightly different note. Are you guys familiar with the Logan Paul suicide forest incident?
The tree thing, yeah.
Yeah.
With the dead body or whatever.
Do you believe that he deserved to get the kind of pushback that he did?
I'm not familiar enough with it to give a proper answer, to be honest.
So yeah, basically, just to give you a quick summary. So this was like 2017. He decided to spend New Year's in Japan, and he like went to Japan and he did a hike in the place called the Suicide Forest, and he was like documenting it. And at first he was like really serious, but then he started making some jokes about it. I don't remember exactly what jokes. And then that video went viral, and he got like massive backlash. He's being like so insensitive, blah blah blah. My personal opinion is that I don't think that was deserved. I mean, sure, people can be, that's kind of like really poor taste, but like documenting something, I don't know, man. Like sometimes you make a joke out of tragedy because that's how you like deal with it. So I don't know. I feel like that's something a lot of people would do privately, but he just got exposed for it publicly. But
yeah, it's a weird like line we're treading, right? Where it's like you're doing stuff that like lots of people would do in private, but you're just the one that has a camera.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm just trying to think if I was doing a hike in the woods and I start seeing like a bunch of dead bodies, like at first I would probably be really creeped out, but eventually you're probably like, your way of coping is to probably just use humor, right?
Use humor. My legend.
I could see that, yeah. Yeah, I probably wouldn't film it, but yeah, I'm never going to sit there and say that I think someone deserves to get cancelled. I think that's like a big fucking call to make. I think the internet often likes to play God with that stuff and say this person should be cancelled because we don't like him today. And it's like, but if in a week from now you won't care, is it really worth getting this guy shut down?
Yeah, I think you have to look at whether there's like malicious intent or it's just like someone just, like doing poor judgment. Are you familiar with the PewDiePie incident?
Which one? The Nazi thing?
The Nazi thing, yeah.
Oh yeah, I watched all of that stuff. Yeah, that was definitely hilarious, and he used that. So he responded to that well. I think Logan Paul did too, but he responded to that really well, and was basically to the journalist like, "No, I'm not going to bow down. Like, fuck you."
Yeah, but he got like canceled from Disney, and like all the UK government was like advertising, with him. Right, he was the most popular YouTuber, but they like everyone pulled out. Yeah, that was an interesting one. But then Logan Paul now, are you familiar with the recent Logan Paul incident with the crypto scam or whatever? I'm sorry, the NFT scam.
No, fill us in.
Oh, dude, this is so juicy. I sometimes spend like hours just like exploring these like little fucking narratives. It's better than the movie. So Logan Paul wanted to create an NFT, and a bunch of text conversations came out that the whole thing was a scam from the start. It was going to be a rug pull, like all of that got revealed. And then the guy who wrote the code ran away with it, with the money, and it was holding hostage for $10 million. It was a whole saga. So Logan Paul got called out by CoffeeZilla for fucking doing this scam. And it is a scam, right? And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then he made things 20 times worse by responding and saying, "I'm going to sue you, CoffeeZilla." And then everyone turned on him, everyone, his videos are getting hardcore ratioed. It's 95% dislikes. Like everyone's just shitting on him. And then he did a 180 and he started apologizing, but by that point it was too late. So I think he probably more or less ended his whole career now.
I mean, you say that, but I feel like when you get to that point, it's like, is there really an ending of the career? Didn't people say that the first time he did? Is there not some point that you get to that it's like, you're probably big enough to keep going if you're willing
you
to
build
keep
your
going?
brand of like infamy.
Yeah.
And your name is well known enough that can kind of keep you going.
As like popular as you think you are, as much influence that you think you are, there's always someone who has more influence. Like the Andrew Tate thing, right? Andrew Tate was the top of the world. I mean, he was the most searched man on Google, billions of dollars, well, at least millions of dollars, right? Like multiple businesses. He probably could have gone on Joe Rogan if he didn't get arrested. Like the most popular man on the internet, basically. Now he's in like some fucking Romanian jail, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So
let me pull it back to
sure.
relationships.
Yeah,
open.
like that really, really like off topic.
I'm just like fascinated by that topic, but yeah, let's get back to.
I mean, I can tell, dude. I go down weird rabbit holes on Wikipedia too. You're just doing the.
Yeah, and yours is like I always learn about new obscure things that Andy learns about because he's gone down some.
Yeah, and then I'll just do like a
hole
45-minute rant about it. Yeah.
And will tell me about this obscure situation, which I then tell other people, and they think that I have interesting stories to tell.
Yeah. So now, bro, we're gonna go tell people about the Logan Paul NFT, like scamming people for millions of dollars.
Yeah, I bored Nati many times talking about like aliens and UFOs.
Oh, don't start me on that shit.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Yeah, no, fucking hell. Open relationships. So what is your relationship dynamic? Obviously, Nati, you're out there. You know, Alex joked before and said you're having sex with hundreds of men.
Gangbangs with black men.
Wow, gangbangs.
Yeah.
5 is a lot, though. How does one keep? 5 is a lot, isn't it? You don't get tired?
Well, it's because it never happens.
On a serious note, what is the dynamic? What?
Yeah, it's the same as it was like last time we chatted. It's a one-way open relationship, so.
We mostly.
But we mostly just hang out with each other. I'm not like slaying chicks like I was 3-4 years ago.
Does that feel like weird still talking about that stuff when you've, for the most part, like not completely moved on, but moved on a fair bit?
No, not at all. I can still, because of all the coaching I do and stuff like that, I'm still like very much immersed in that. And I still do it occasionally, so it's like I still stay fresh. No, for me, it doesn't feel weird at all talking about that, being honest.
No, like for us, it's something, like part of like he brings it up all the time, like at least every other week. He's like, I'm in a one-way open relationship. Emphasis.
I only do when I'm asked. I don't care that much. It's only when people ask me.
He always mentions it.
I don't go out of my way to mention it. It's only when I'm asked the question.
Like telling random strangers.
But
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Sir, do you want a milkshake or not? All right, it's a one-way relationship, okay? So I can fuck the milkshake, but she can't fuck the milkshake. Okay, sir, just do what you want with the milkshake. Here you go. It's on the house.
My understanding is that you guys hook up, but like you do it together, right? With other couples together. You don't do it separately.
Yeah, correct.
In our case, it's mostly him separately, and sometimes I get in the fun.
So you guys have done stuff together? Because I thought last time we talked about
we've done things together.
Okay.
But like I tend to be more like, I just hate dating in general. So,
as in the pressure of like the date itself and like finding women and all of that.
People, I hate it. I hate dating, and sometimes it's like, okay, like let's do. Sometimes I'm like, let's do it, and let's have threesomes together. And sometimes it's like, just do your thing, and I'll do my thing, and it depends more in my mood. Yeah. But it's never been like a hard situation for us. That's never been an issue.
Clarify what you mean when you say I'll do my thing.
When I do my thing, it's like I work basically, and I hang out with my friends.
Didn't make it explicitly clear.
Yeah, I did not make it
explicitly clear for the internet.
So no gangbangs. That's not your thing.
We're gonna get a video from one of these obscure black pillars saying that she does her thing. What does it mean? No, I do my thing. It's meaning I work, and
we knew what you meant.
And I do my home, and I go to book club.
Yes. That's very wholesome. That's like the opposite of a gangbang.
Where they do everything but talk about books.
Hey, clarify what you mean by that.
Well, with the book club, I don't know. I just listened to one of her book clubs. They were talking about like relationships and like life stuff. I was like, "Are you guys going to talk about the book at all?" Or
Isn't that the point of it? Isn't it like, women that go to like stitching?
Oh,
Like,
bitch and stitch.
They
Yeah.
call it bitch and stitch. They just go, they're supposed to be like
like a
knitting and
craft
stitching
club,
stuff,
yeah.
but they just bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like
Isn't that the point?
gossip sessions.
I don't know. I just assumed like I've never been to a book club. I just assumed it was like send around a book, but like I don't know. I think they talked about the book for like 10% of the book club. It was like mostly like other shit. From what I saw, maybe it was a one-off type of
No,
situation.
that's the reality of book club. We
It's
don't
very
really
odd, but-
talk about the
Yeah.
book.
No one even
It's
reads,
like-
reads the book.
Yeah, did anyone read the book? Fuck no. Let's talk about like Alex and why he's a cuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people think, and a lot of people think that like it's always been an issue, but like that's never. The only times that sometimes it's been kind of like issue with me, especially, it's exes. I just don't feel comfortable with him hanging out with exes, but like it's something that when the subject came up, we brought it up. We were like, yeah, I'm not comfortable with you hanging out with your exes or having communications with your exes. And also,
Sorry, my ex just called me. I gotta take this real quick.
I think like because we set the boundary so clear from the beginning, and we were like so transparent with what we wanted from the relationship. I think that's why it's never an issue.
Yeah, it's that honesty and like actually laying it all out. Did you guys have like big chats about like here's exactly what we wanted? Like as in, did you have a talk or a couple of talks?
It was like
more it just came up?
It was more of like a series of
Yep.
small chats,
Yeah, we had
clarifying conversations.
one before we had one before we started actually dating, where we
Which
were
one?
one when we had our first. We were like booty calls at the time, right? And it was like when I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is what I want.
That was still that was a one. That was
Yeah,
a small chat.
that was a talk that like kind of like set the precedence for everything, because we were very open. We were like, at the time I was like, look, like, let's see, this is what I can offer you.
Yeah,
And
you came over with your ideas of like ending the relationship. I frame controlled you in 30 minutes, and then I was back in
we had a
touch.
big talk, and we were like, okay, this is what we can offer each other.
Wait, before you make any decisions, let me just get my mom on speakerphone.
Let me get my mother here and my cute dog.
My
Yeah.
mother's speakerphone. But yeah, it's mostly been. I think we did have like a big talk about.
I don't think we did. I think it was a series of small talks, honestly.
No, I
Like,
think we did have a big one. We did have a big one where we were like, yeah, it's not for me. I was like, I don't want to do it. When I told him like I don't want to, before we started to actually really date, I was like, yeah, we were like, yeah, let's not.
I guess we have a different recollection of events. As I remember, it was like a series of small talks.
No, it like I think we have two big talks. One was before we started, when we set the precedent of like who we were and what we were able to like offer the other person. And we were like, yeah, I don't want to lose my freedom. I was like, yeah, I have like a huge commitment issues that I need to work in. When I say commitment, I mean in like how I'm available. I was like, I'm not emotionally available. And he's like, I'm not the commitment, the like one girl, one type of girl type of guy. And then we were like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable with you sleeping with other guys. I know it's not fair. And I was like, yeah, I don't have the need to sleep with other guys. I don't care if you sleep with other girls. Just don't have relationships on the side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was this like relationship, the dynamic, the one-sided open relationship, was this the first time that both of you had gotten into something like that, or have you both had this dynamic in other relationships before?
I was gonna say it was the first time I officially have had one.
That's what I meant, like properly, like
I've had quasi one-way open relationships where like it's kind of implied them seeing other girls, but it's like kind of like also a little bit of like under the rug, and then like it was my first like clean one-way open relationship. But I've been like taking stabs at it a little bit in the past, but it was like this is the cleanest and like most like correct way that I've ever done it.
Yeah, let me just like say it, and if she wants it, she wants it.
Yeah.
If
I've
she
always
doesn't
kind of
want it,
like danced around it a little bit.
Yeah, I did in the first couple of years as well, like before Immy. I would just kind of like you'd do it and you'd like hint and you'd be
Yeah, yeah.
like she'd know, but you never actually sit down and be
Never
like, by the
talk
way, I
about
am sleeping with
it.
other people.
It's like this big elephant in the room always.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, for us, the thing with us is that I was so like entwined with myself by the time I met him. So for me, I've had monogamous relationship, but this has been my most honest relationship,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah, you
think.
guys strike me as pretty honest. I like what you said before, Natty, how you said like you said it several times. You said we basically talked about what we could offer the other person. I think that's most people think about what they're trying to get from the other person.
No, I think it's important to have the conversation. I've been big in having those conversations as to like this is who I am. Let me put everything on the table, and let's see like if you can take it well, if not. And I think that's why a lot of relationships fail
Yeah.
and are not, and you don't have happy relationships because it's people being like, oh, what does he or she wants to hear?
Yeah, and you have expectations, but you never tell the other person that you have expectations, and then you get butthurt or disappointed when the person lets you down. And it's like, but you didn't say what you wanted.
Exactly, or what you could offer, or
Yeah.
if you were willing to take it. I think that from my first relationship I learned that like because it felt that I was kind of like a disappointment to
Hmm.
him. The love was there, but like the disappointment was like shit, like I want her to be this and I'm never gonna live up to those expectations.
I know that feeling.
What do you mean?
Just kidding.
So I think that that's what made it for this relationship. I was like, okay, this is who I am. These
Yeah.
are like
Yeah.
all the problems I have, and this
Yeah,
is
just
what I
like putting it all out there.
yeah, and this is what I'm willing to take to.
Yeah.
So you both said that this has been your most honest relationship. Did you both go into like the situation together being like, I need to be more honest going forward, or was it something that
No,
you
it was
maybe
kind of
weren't?
more. It was more accidental for me.
Yeah. Yeah, you ended up working on being more honest as you guys were
Yeah,
together, like
it
over
was.
time.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't intentional. It was more just like just kind of happened that way.
No, for me, it was very conscious because I've been like when I met Alex, I was in therapy for like 6 months.
Hmm.
So I've been working on myself. I've been really
Yep.
doing the work, the inner work for me. So
Hmm.
for me, it was very, very conscious.
Do you feel like there's misconceptions, both of you? You can answer this separately if you want to, for like not just open relationships, but particularly a one-sided open relationship. Like, what are the misconceptions that people might have about you, Natty, or about
Oh,
Alex?
a lot of people think that it's a power dynamic, that
Yeah.
I'm basically very that the dynamic, the power balance, it's shifting towards Alex's,
Hmm.
Mm.
and that it's something that I'm putting up with.
Yeah.
That's even something, yeah, that I got because the first couple of years that we were dating, it was like a one-sided open relationship where sometimes we would see girls together, but a lot of the time it was you seeing girls on your own. And basically any time I told anybody that, there was always the like, that's not fair. Are you okay? Are you sure you're happy?
Yeah,
Is this really what you want to be doing? I think that's pretty common
I think that
assumption.
yeah, like and people cannot grasp the fact that like I'm in this because honestly, I'm the least jealous person ever. It works for me. I believe that relationships are freedom and that you need to let your partner be. A lot of people
Yep.
want their partner to be who they want them to be
Hmm.
and like and have like all these expectations that are not necessarily good. So
Expectations and then power. Like, people use power over each other, like manipulation, or I got to
like
convince you to do this.
people do tend to be very power hungry and
Mm.
relationships become huge on okay, like let me have the power dynamic.
Yeah.
And I think that's especially true for men. Men do seek power in the relationship.
Mm.
Whereas for me, it's like, look, I'm just going from a place of self. I think that the biggest misconception is that I'm doing this just to retain Alex, where I'm
Mm.
honestly doing it because I'm going from a place of self. I'm focusing mostly in what I want, and for me, sleeping with other guys. I've never been that type of promiscuous woman. Like I've honestly, like my leg count, it's not even. It's in the single digits.
Mm.
And I mean, I'm 33.
But
Like,
it's not zero.
no, it's not zero, but like
You didn't marry a virgin, Alex. You fucked
I've
up.
never been the promiscuous type. So I was like, I'm not gonna do it because he does it, because that's me losing myself into someone else, or
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not.
you. Sorry, you keep going.
No, go ahead. Or I'm not gonna do things that just because Alex does it or just because Alex needs it, oh, I'm gonna behave a certain way. Like I prioritize me, I prioritize what I feel, what I want, and what I need.
I think a big
Yeah.
part of the issue about the misconception about one-way open relationship is pushed by the red pill. Like essentially, if you look at what Fresh and Fit or like the Taste talk about, it's a one-way open relationship, right? Like that. That's they don't call it that, but that's really what it comes down in essence. But here's the big issue or whatever misunderstanding is. They approach it from a different perspective. They look at it, it's like, hey, I'm a high value man, I'm entitled to a one-way open relationship, and every girl is going to have to just fucking put up with it, right? Well, they don't realize that the majority of girls, the one-way open relationship is not possible with the majority of girls. A lot of girls, I don't care how high value you are, if they have an element of jealousy, it's not going to work. It just really won't. It's a small
Well,
percentage.
it'll be just like a lot of drama.
It'll be a lot of drama, and eventually it will end in disaster. Like like resentment will build up over time. Sure, the girl might put up with it for a little bit, but that's not a stable relationship. But the reality of the matter is, like, it's a small percentage of girls, maybe 10%, maybe 15%. I don't know exactly what it is. That's gonna be compatible with a one-way open relationship. It just kind of is what it is. So I like looking from a place of like entitlement, like I'm a high value man and I'm entitled to a one-way open relationship is the incorrect way to look at it. A much healthier way of looking at it is like, hey, this is what I want, and let me screen for a girl who's looking for something similar, right? That's I think how it needs to be looked at. But that's like again, that's not as sexy as like, yeah, high value man, fuck these bitches, one way, yeah. Like so, it's a tougher sales pitch, but it's kind of the right way of looking at it, I think.
You're still pitching it to people who resonate with that. There's so many like people who have that more like, I don't know if you want to call it like hippie or libertarian or just independent mindset where they're like, hey, that sounds great. I don't have to force anyone to do anything they don't want to do. Cool. Let me go and do that. So I feel like it's still appealing. I understand what you're saying though. It doesn't sound sexy as a headline.
Yeah, well, because it's just like it's so much more sexy. It's like, yeah, if I become this high value man, these girls will have no
Women
choice.
will have to do everything
They
for
will
me.
have to. They will have to do this for me, right? But that's like, okay, like maybe you could get some girls to do that for you, but that's not going to work out. There's just going to be drama. It's going to build resentment. It's eventually going to end. It's not a stable foundation. If the girl deep down inside isn't really cool with it, she's just putting up with it. That's going to come crashing at one point or another.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
It is, and I think it's important also, like if you want to be in a type of like non-monogamous relationship or not a normal quote unquote relationship, I think it's important to establish boundaries.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Like to figure out what you want and what they want.
I'm very strict about my boundaries. A lot of people think that I'm the most that I put up with a lot of things.
Well, you put up with a good amount of things.
No, like I don't put up with really much. I'm the least flexible person you'll ever meet.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, I mean
You're
that's
not the least flexible person you'll ever meet. That's not even close to true.
no. I think it's true. I think for like a lot of things, I think it's true. Like
Yeah, you're probably not flexible about me like beating you or something like that.
no,
But
like about like a lot of things. A lot of things. I'm like, you know what? I don't put up with much from. Like there's no, like you're great except for your messiness. You're great, but I don't live with you. That's why I don't live with you.
well, you don't live with me because I never invited you to live with me. That's
No,
how that.
well, yeah, but like I don't live with you. I never asked to be invited to live with you because you're a messy motherfucker. But
You guys are doing the equivalent of like, you didn't fire me, I quit. And it's like, but no, wait. I didn't invite you to leave.
Nati like thinks of herself like typically much worse than the reality is. Like she's
No.
like, I'm the meanest person ever. You're not even close.
I'm
I'm the most offensive person ever. If I had $1 for every time she said that, you're like, you're not even close. I'm like the least flexible person ever. Like, no, not even close either. Like, I
I,
find that Nati like thinks of herself as being like much more of a villain than she really is.
Is
no,
there
but, like,
anybody else here who does that?
I don't think of myself as a villain. I just think of myself as sucking at everything. That's very different.
Yeah, yeah.
no.
That's a better way of putting it.
The thing with Alex is that Alex is such an easygoing person.
You're not the least flexible person ever.
But,
Like the least flexible person ever would be like my dad or something.
Or
I
like
mean,
Kim
I
Jong
don't
Un
know.
or something.
I feel
Yeah,
that
Kim Jong-un.
I feel
Imagine Kim Jong Un is actually like super chill. He's like, yeah, listen, man, you guys want to take the nudes?
The West is just like misunderstanding me. Like, I'm chill as fuck.
I feel that I don't compromise in a lot of things, and I don't.
Sure,
believe
I know
in
what you meant. Yeah. Yeah. Did you have those boundaries when you guys first met? Did you guys both have strong boundaries when you met?
When we met, not because we were like very casual. So like we
Yeah.
never had conversations when we were that casual. When we were booty calls,
Yeah.
not. Because like there was really nothing to talk about. There was
But
no,
did you have in
Before-
your head at that point?
yes, not with him in particular, but with other guys that I would date or with other guys who I would be in relationships with before Alex. Yes, like I've always been someone who has high like boundaries.
I think I have strong boundaries, but not big boundaries. Like I think that like I'm fairly flexible about a lot of things, but there are some things for if that line is crossed, I will like never negotiate on that. But like I'm generally pretty chill about most things.
I'm gonna guess you have that feeling of like, if I don't like something, I'll just walk away from it. Like, I don't have to stay.
Whereas
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I don't think I'm as flexible with my boundaries as you can be. I think
You're
that
the least flexible person that I will ever meet. You said.
Yeah. Cap.
I think he tends to be more like, oh, let's talk about it, or let's. Where I'm like, no, if you do this, that's it.
Yeah, I know. I'm like a reasonable human being.
Yeah, I'm less I'm less reasonable. I think in that sense.
But I feel like as long as you're honest and open with that shit at the start, like that's the whole kind of point that we're saying.
Yeah.
It's only weird if you just bring it up like 3 years into the relationship. You're like, oh, by the way, I never told you this, but I never want kids. And the other person is like, what the fuck? But I thought you did want kids.
Exactly. No. I think that honesty is key. And people are always fearing that. They're always like, oh, what if I tell this person and she or he doesn't not want to be with me?
Then you screen them out. Good.
That's what's meant to happen. That's important.
A lot of people would put up with things that they don't want to put up with just to keep that person. And I think that's the biggest misconception about me is that I put up with a lot of things just to keep Alex, where the reality is completely different.
Alex, do you ever get the opposite? Does anyone ever say like, oh, you're putting up with stuff just to be with Nati?
No, not really. Because like, what am I really putting up with?
I'm great. I wish I had a boyfriend like he has a girlfriend. I'm not gonna lie. He's a lucky motherfucker.
Yeah, no, I don't really get that, to be honest.
If someone wanted the relationship that you guys have, or like similar dynamic, is honesty like the main thing you'd push? Like,
Yeah.
what other tips would you guys give them?
I did a video on this a while ago. I think it bombed, so I might have taken it down. But I think it's still on Rumble. But basically, I talked about, I think it was like 4 factors. I talked about one, like really aggressive screening.
Oh, fuck yes.
So like I think the red pill is responsible for a lot of like misconceptions, but the idea in like the red pill is kind of that like you can train your woman. So like you don't need to like find a certain woman. You can just take whatever hot girl that you can fuck, and then you can mold her into the person you want her to be. But that's like very foolish. Like you're not really gonna. I mean, you can influence people to some extent, but you're not gonna take a girl who's like really jealous and make her like really chill about one-way open relationship.
She has to want to.
Yeah,
like people have to want to change.
Yeah, so I always looked at it about like instead of trying to change a girl into something I want, I'll just look for the girl that's already like that, and then build on that rather than like trying to change a girl who's like a 180. So I think that's the first one is aggressive screening. Number 2 is building investment. So I think the more investment you have from the girl, the more cool she's going to be with the idea of a one-way open relationship. So you're not going to like pitch that at the start. You know, it's not like the first time you hang out, you're like, by the way, I want a one-way open relationship. Like you're going to do that like later on. So like in the early stages, you're just going to like, you know, like hook up, hang out. And so like the more investment you have, like sexual investment, emotional investment, the more likely she is to go along with the idea. I think number 3 is you have to give your partner some element of control. So like like contrary to popular belief, our relationship isn't like a free for all. I can just do whatever the fuck I want. Like she has some things that she's not cool with, right? So you have to like be able to negotiate. It can't be like your way or the highway. It's like, okay, well, like listen, here are some things that here are the things that particularly make you uncomfortable. Let's I can avoid doing those. So you have to give your partner some element of control. And yeah, I think the fourth component is honesty.
Yeah, I think even on the control, you could also phrase it as like compromise or just like understanding. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you're not just going to do everything I want you to do forever. That's like almost it's not the right word, but like abusive relationship, controlling relationship, something like that.
Yeah.
I fully agree with what you said. It's like, why would someone stay forever? And I had a couple of relationships like that. I wasn't controlling, but it was obvious that she was just putting up with the fact that I was sleeping with other women. And she tried her fucking best. One in particular. We were together for like a year and a half. She tried her best. But she was just like, I can't get over this. I can't be okay with this. And at some point I was like, we're going to break up. Like, this isn't okay. Like, I don't think you're ever just going to be okay with this. I think you could put up with it for the rest of your life. But like, why?
And I think a softer. I'm sorry. You go,
No,
Nati.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, babe, don't say the name publicly, but we all know a person who fits into that category.
Cool.
Starts with L.
Oh, one of your exes?
No. I'll tell you privately.
Oh, okay, yeah. I
Okay, you know? Okay, yeah.
But I was just going to say that I think that like the way that we started out, our relationship is a good example of what you were saying, Alex, because when we first met, I had no boundaries, no self-esteem, but there was definitely something that was still uncomfortable and upsetting for me about the fact that you were seeing other women. And I did put up with it for quite a while. And then at some point you were, and it wasn't just like you were sleeping with other women. It's like, you were building like relationships with other women. You're getting intimate with other women. And I was also there and we were seeing each other. We were dating, but you were still building something emotional with other people. And no matter how submissive or
You were so submissive too.
or
Like,
low
she was going to be the
self-esteem I
person you
was.
think would be okay with
Yeah,
just putting
and
up with
I
it.
guess
Yeah.
that would be like I would be the perfect, like according to the Red Pill, like the perfect moldable woman because I didn't have the ability to stand up myself. And for the most part, I wasn't even sure about what I wanted, but I still ended up breaking up with you that first time because some part of me was just not okay with it. And I think, yeah, even now I'm not somebody that would be okay with you building something with other women. I think that part of that is like why we've eventually moved on to what we're doing now. It's that there's still, even though I think that as Nati, it seems like you're somebody that's going to be more okay with a one-sided open relationship. But I think even me, as someone who had far less self-esteem than I do have now, I don't think it's ever something that I would be okay with. And as you said, I think screening is the best way to find the people that are okay with certain things, with what you want. And we were able to come to a compromise and find something we both really like doing, while you still get to like scratch the itch of like seeing other women and not being monogamous.
You know what the Red Pill would say about that, right?
Yeah.
So
But-
loving and kind, Alex.
They would say it's because Andy doesn't have enough clout, but if you had 1 million subscribers, you would go along with it. You would do it if he was a high value man enough.
That's true.
I
That's
had
like,
that.
That's like the
One of,
cliche Red Pill like fucking argument. That's like super dumb.
one of the hardest things was breaking up with. It was so fucking hard because you were the first person that I dated, loved, was emotionally intimate with, had opened up to you. I was so invested in you and I cared about you so much, but it was hurting way too much for me to stay, no matter how much I cared about you.
Yeah.
At that point in time, under the dynamic that we were.
Oh, you guys broke up at some point?
For like
For
2 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then we,
Yeah, it was a weird breakup too. It was basically like, she's like, I can't do this anymore. It just hurts too much. And I was like, well, okay, I just got to let you go then. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, wait, but like, would you be okay if we had sex with women together? And she's like, yes. Like, I told you that. And I was
think
like,
because-
oh, like, would you want to just do that? And she's like,
It's
yeah.
like a
And I was
light
like,
bulb moment.
yeah, I was like, oh, fuck, I thought you said you weren't okay with us ever sleeping with women together. I was like, I'm happy to do that. Like,
No,
that's
because
fine.
you were so clear about what you wanted
I was at the start, yeah.
from the start. And you were like,
I was Mr. Red Pill at the start.
no
Hey,
flex.
I was like,
you were no flexibility.
I was like red pill.
absolute rigidity. I will never be monogamous. I
Yeah.
will never commit. I always need to see other people. So it wasn't even my brain of like, maybe he'll change his mind. It was like, no, that's not going to happen. You've made that clear. So I need to leave. Like these are my
but-
options.
I think that's great. I think the fact that you were like, this is who I am. I'm never going to change. And you knew going into it that you were like, okay, like he's never going to change. It is what it is. and I actually respect that, and I think that's one a lot of the mistakes that women make is that, oh, like, I'm gonna change him.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh my god. Yeah.
if I am this great person, if I cook for him, if I clean for him, if if I am the best, if I am the most submissive person, he's gonna change. He's gonna pick me
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of thinking like, hey, like, what is it that I want?
Yeah.
And
I
I
think
think
we
that
even.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm just gonna say that, like, I think we even had that conversation of, like, if my way of breaking up was like, you need to, like, this is an ultimatum, you're either going to commit to me or I'm leaving, I think it would have gone very differently and things would have
Yeah, I
ended.
said that to her. I said, if you had given me an ultimatum and said, like, you need to stop sleeping with other women, otherwise I'm going to leave, I would have been like, fuck off and never come back. Like,
Yeah.
you don't get to tell me what to do.
But it was the opposite. It was like,
Yeah.
I know that you're not going to change. That's okay. You've made that clear. I need to leave for me.
All right, let me
And
throw a hypothetical your way. Let me
Good.
test the strength of your relationship. What if Immy said to you, Andy, you know what? I'm no longer cool with us doing the threesomes. I want to just be a regular monogamous relationship. It's either that or, I'm not going to be able to do this. What would you say?
It would depend on where we were in the relationship. Like 10 years from now, I'm
At
just
this
going to be
point
like, yeah,
now.
if it's now, I'd need to think about that. I'd say you need to give me 2 months to think about this and I'll come up with a decision. Yeah, so I don't have an answer for you. I know that's not glamorous, but I don't have an answer right now.
if you ask me what I would think Andy would have said, even right now, I'd probably say we'd probably have to break up. I would guess. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm not going to speak for
I'd
you
want
'cause I
to
don't
think
know.
about it before I make that decision. Yeah.
Someone
I'm-
asked me that question on one of my live streams. It was an interesting question. I thought about it for 30 seconds. But in all honesty, I think that if Nati posed that question to me, I probably would just be monogamous with her. Although I wouldn't like it and I would build resentment. It would probably be the beginning of the end of our relationship. I think I would
Dude, it's
probably,
almost like you're in the opposite situation of like a woman putting up with something she's not comfortable with. It
yeah,
would be like
I
you'd be
think
in
I
that.
probably, because I'm so invested in this point, I probably would go along with it. But I do feel like it would be like the beginning of the end. But yeah,
But
I'd
the
be,
fact
lying.
that you
I'd be lying if I said that. I'd be like, "Yo, fuck you, bitch. You're on your own." Like, I don't think I would. Like, I think I'm too invested at this point.
No, but I don't think I would ever like, and that's something that I promised myself. I was like, look, if I ever do have a problem with it, I think I would walk away from the relationship.
Hmm.
Because like,
Your ass ain't going anywhere. I got you banned from Tinder. You have no options.
because I am a big person who believes in freedom, and for me, taking away the person's freedom to be who they are, it's the beginning of the end. At the end of
Oh,
the day.
yeah. Yeah, because it's like, as Alex said, they will just build resentment.
Yeah, I mean, it's the beginning of the end. It's like, I'm not gonna ask. It's this, like, if Alex were to ask me tomorrow, like, hey, I need you to stop work. I want you to stop working.
Hmm.
That would be like, without a doubt, I'd be like, peace out.
I don't know why I would want that. That would just mean I would have to pay for all your shit. I never understood why
Like,
guys
but
feel like
like,
you
you know,
want
like,
the women to
there's
stop
like,
working.
or
It's like,
or or,
dude, you're
or,
going to be paying for all her shit. How's that a good thing?
or if you were to be like, hey, yeah, like, I want you to stop seeing your ex friend, or I don't want you to hang out with, to stop traveling, or to stop doing the things that you love to do.
Mhm.
I don't know if I could be in a relationship like that.
Well, I would be more strategic. I would baby step you. So I'd just be like, oh, just this one thing. Just don't do that. And that would kind of.
Yeah, just
keep
hang out with
raising-
your friend a little less, babe. Like, let's spend time together a little bit more. Yeah. Yeah.
So because I'm a huge believer in freedom. I'm a huge believer in like everyone needs to do what makes them happy, and the moment it bothers you, you have to deal with it from a way that, okay, how can I do it, where how can I solve this issue?
So do you guys see, like, Alex having sex with other women? And I guess you can say me having sex with, like, us having sex with other women. But do you guys see Alex having sex with other women as important as you working? Or you having friends that you want to have? Like, is it one of those things where it's like, this is important? Because a lot of people have judgments about a guy wanting to have sex. They're like, that's shallow.
It's who he is. I mean, like, I find that you need to respect people.
Alex is a dirty little slut.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah. Like, Natty, is that accurate?
I'm sorry that Alex is a slut.
In
Someone's
some
going to
ways.
clip that. I'm sorry that Alex is a slut, and they're going to post that and say like, look, Natty's not okay with it. See, she
It's not
thinks
okay
Alec is a
with it.
slut.
No, but like I think it's important to just let everyone be. And I think I do equate like my wants, needs, and feelings as important as his, and I do have to respect them. And a lot of people that kind of like give their power away by wanting to like fix it. Let's say I were to have a problem with Alex sleeping with other girls. Whose problem is that, Alex or mine?
Natty, you are very fucking spiritual.
It's my problem, right? Because I'm the one
Yeah.
who feels the problem. So who
Yes.
needs to fix this problem, Alex or me? Me. So it's me who needs to take action over that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I take a relationship. That's when I see things. Sometimes I'm not very good at it. Sometimes I fail, but I try to go from that perspective. The problem is who feels it.
That's
And
what we have in our relationship too. Yeah.
asking the other person to fix something that it's my problem, I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, there's a really good quote I love. An author I'm obsessed with is a woman called Byron Katie, and she has this quote that says, "If I think you're the cause of my suffering, I'm insane."
Exactly. You need to fix the problems, and the problem is who feels it.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I have issues with something, and if it's something that it's not gonna, I'm better off just walking away.
Alex, do you ever get criticism, or have you had criticism, or maybe like have you had bad reactions from friends or family or something? Someone saying like, "Oh, you're just obsessed with sex," or "That's not fair," or anything like that?
I don't think criticism. I've never had like criticism from friends and family. Like my family and friends are very supportive, um, but more like questions from not friends. All
Yeah.
my friends get it. My friends are just a bunch of other dudes who like want something similar. But family, yeah, like my mom has like she's like I don't understand it. She's like I don't understand it. She's like you kids, I don't back in my day. I'm
That's what my
like
mom says.
That's
Yeah,
your
so-
mom,
my
yeah,
mom.
yeah.
like my family doesn't. I wouldn't say they get it, but I wouldn't say they're critical of it. But
Were the
yeah.
questions like, is Natty okay with that? Does she consent? Like all of that kind of stuff?
I mean, like my mom has said, she's like, listen, I don't know how Natty's okay with it. She's like, me personally, I could never do that. But she's like, it's always like, hey, listen, if it works for you guys, you guys are happy. It's always kind of that. My family overall, I got really lucky. I have like a really overall, all things considered, like a really supportive, like positive family.
I think for the most part, that's pretty common though. Like at least in Western culture, I think a lot of the time we freak out and think like, what are our friends and family going to think if I tell people? Like it's almost like a coming out of the closet. You know what I mean? And then you tell your friends and family, and yeah, there might be one or two people that have questions or think it's shallow or unfair, but for the most part, we've found most people being pretty fucking nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And the worst that I get at this point in time is my friends are like, yeah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I couldn't be in your position. But if you're happy, you do you.
Here's the fascinating thing that I've observed in the last 5 years. What can take your family from being like really critical to being really supportive is something as simple as you just becoming richer than them. So like, I remember when I was like 25, 26, and I was like, kind of struggling, starting up the business or whatever. And I was kind of like my dad would be like super duper critical, breathing down my neck. But like now that I'm like, I make more money than my dad. It's like he's pretty much just like 180. He's like supportive of everything. Because a lot of like, especially the older generation, they just associate money with like success.
Man.
So it's like it's like even though something doesn't make sense to my dad, he's like, oh, he's making money. I mean, it's like So I don't know. Maybe that's just unique to my family or something like that. But yeah, when I started becoming like financially successful, that's when I noticed like not so much from my mom, but from my dad. Like, I mean, my dad always loved me, but like in terms of respect, like I think my dad started to like really respect me and see me as like a peer and an equal rather than like beneath him. Like when that dynamic changed.
Had you told them like in the early days, like, I do like pickup artist stuff. I help guys get laid. I do like men's dating advice. Like, how did they think that stuff?
Yeah, I was really upfront about that. They were cool with it. My close family was cool with it. My mom, my dad, I don't have any siblings, was cool with it. They were both supportive. They're like, they think it's a great idea. My aunts and uncles are all really cool with it. My cousins, who I was really close with growing up, have become SJW, unfortunately, in the last 5 years, at least some of them. So they were kind of critical of it because they think it's like misogyny and tricking women or whatever. So my SJW cousins, not so much, but we don't really like. It's just something we don't really talk about. Basically.
Sure.
But my aunts, uncles, mom, dad, yeah, always really supportive, always cool. I mean, like, yeah, they're all like, they think it's awesome, honestly.
Mm, that's cool.
They don't really understand what Tinder is, but they think it's awesome that there's a magical app out there that you can use to like meet girls and have sex. And like, yeah, they don't really know how you get it or how it works, but they think it's badass.
Cute.
Yeah, that was my parents' reaction when I told them. They were like, "How did you guys meet on Tinder?" And they're like, "Oh, what is that? Like, I don't fully understand." My dad doesn't get it. Yeah, just
My
like, how
mom
does
said,
that work?
no, I met him on Bumble.
How did you think you
Him
met
at the supermarket.
Oh, did
Oh,
you
that's
did you tell her that?
adorable.
Yeah, because my mom, like, she's like, my mom is an older mom. She had me when she's in her 70s.
Mm.
So like, she is something that she cannot fathom, the fact that people meet online. She's like, no.
In my
Here's how you
family,
do it.
it's pretty common. My cousin Dana, she met her now husband, the
Um,
father of her kids on Tinder. Ina, you remember the mama of the Canadians? She's met multiple younger black men on Tinder.
Jesus
So
fucking Christ, Alex.
now, mom, I'm not even kidding about that. That's like after she got divorced from her husband, she realized that's her thing.
I love it, bro. She's like, I gotta go like find myself.
she's
Yeah,
so hot too. She's super hot.
yeah, she's definitely very attractive for her age. So in my family, my let me think who. No, Vicky did not meet Dave on Bumble. Kirill did not. Katja did not. But yeah, Donna, Ina. So yeah, it's like not uncommon in my family, you know.
Hmm.
In my family, like, by my family, it's huge. I have a cousin who, I have a few cousins who've met their significant others online, but they've been highly criticized for that. So I'm like,
I think that's really dumb. I think it makes zero difference where you met someone. It comes
At
down to
this
the
point,
caliber of the
yeah,
point.
like,
at
Like,
this
who
point,
cares?
it's very common to meet people online, and I think it's just the most, and it's a safe bet too, as well.
Alex, do you feel like is this a sentiment that you get from I don't know the wider normal community? Do you feel like people now are almost going the exact opposite, where they're like cold approach is weird. It's weird to talk to a girl in public. Like that's
Yeah, dude,
strange.
it's kind of concerning that you're seeing this trend, dude. A lot of people are delusional about like like some people legitimately think that if you approach a girl that you're going
You're
to wind
gonna
up
get
in
arrested.
jail. Yeah,
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's like half of yeah. So many
I'm like
people will
so
say that,
tired
and
of
I'm
seeing
like,
those comments. I'm like, motherfucker, it doesn't work that way, okay? Like you're
yeah.
not gonna like relax. Nothing bad's gonna happen if you approach a girl. I don't care. And they're like, bro, if you're not a Giga Chad and you approach a girl, you're gonna be in jail. It's like, no, like that doesn't happen. I've approached
It's like,
thousands of
how do you
girls.
think your grandparents met each other?
Yeah, yeah.
Like on a train or some
It is
shit.
weird. But that's kind of more of a black pill community thing. But the black pill community
Hmm.
is getting bigger, which is scary because that community is mainly nonsense. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Hmm.
They've
Natty, let me
started.
ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you finish. You finish,
I
Alex.
was just gonna say the black pillars have started to like infest my channel. They kind of like hate watch me. They don't really like me because I'm not one of them. But I'm like the only channel that like allows them to like speak their mind. So they have no choice but to like gravitate towards me. But they don't really like me. So it's like this hate and love of relationships the black pill community has with me. But it's kind of like it's mildly concerning when I watch in the chat and like I see all this like black pill talking points. I'm like, Jesus
The
Christ,
propaganda is what you were
you
gonna
guys are
say.
yeah, propaganda. You guys are retarded.
Well, it generally comes. I don't want to complain about that stuff too much, but it generally comes from a place of like a lack of experience. It's like you haven't ever tried, and you're just saying that you're going to go to jail if you talk to a woman. If you go up to 20 women and you're reasonably decent at it, reasonably polite, I
Even
guess you
if
could
you're
say.
not
You can be
decent at
shit
it, you
at
can
it, but
be
if you're just
nervous and
polite,
shitty. As long as you're just like not
you don't say
rude
like,
or
"Yo, hey,
aggressive.
sexy tits, show me your fucking ass." Like, give me that pussy. As long as you don't say that.
Even if you do that, you won't go to jail unless you actually like physically touch her. At least not in America. Like you
Yeah.
can go up to a girl and be like, "Hey, sexy ass, let me see those tits," and like the girl will be like, "Yo, what the fuck is wrong with you?" But you're not actually gonna go to jail for that. That's
Sure,
not illegal.
sure,
Like homeless
sure.
people say way worse shit to people all the time on the street. You know, the homeless people. For me, for some, I guess maybe because of my nose, they're like, "You Jews control the world." I'd be like, "All right, dude." I'm a
Dude, I have a friend who has like a beard and he looks like he's Turkish and he just gets like Muslim comments. It's like, you fucking Muslims. And he's like, I'm not Muslim. I'm
oh,
Australian,
dude.
you weird freak.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's interesting. I didn't know that happened commonly.
yeah. It's not super common. It's just like
It's
homeless
more
people
more
being
homeless people. Yeah, it's not just
Yeah,
people. It's
almost people have like the cringiest conspiracy theories. But yeah, so even that, like, as long as you don't physically assault a girl, you're okay.
Sure, yeah. And that's what I mean. It comes from a lack of experience. It's like if you went up to 20 women and actually talked to them, you'd see that most of them are fucking nice. And some of them will even say, like, thank you for this. I have a boyfriend, but thank you so much. And you're like, oh, so I'm not going to jail. And I'm not a Chad. What the hell?
Is there any words that are like off limits on your podcast, or can I say anything?
You can say anything. You can talk about a bit. I'll just cut it out if it's horrible. Plus, I've
Okay.
said way
You've
worse.
said
I've said way
I
worse,
feel
man.
like Andy's
Whatever you might say, I've
said
said worse.
most of what's
Okay, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's not gonna be anything bad. It's just a word that a lot of YouTubers are paranoid about rape. I don't know why, because it's like a lot of YouTubers have these weird theories that like if you say certain words or video, will get like penalized. I say every type of word besides the N word on my channel. I've never
I've
once
said
had.
the N word on my channel multiple times. Yeah.
Oh, have you? Okay,
Yeah.
you're lucky you're Australian. In America, that shit is like that would be if I
I've
ever say
heard that. People say that. Yeah. Yeah.
if I say the N word on my channel, that'll be like that, like the death of my career. But yeah, so like people are so paranoid of false rape accusations, and they do happen from time to time. But as long as you're not like actually raping girls, like there's
I'm sorry. That was
statistically,
really funny. For some reason, that cracked me up.
or like just the odds of you getting a false rape accusation are like entirely low. Like there's people who get struck by lightning, right? That happens, but like the odds of you getting struck by lightning is like really really low. So like most people would like feel comfortable going outside because they're not worried about being struck by lightning. But then when it comes to like false rape accusations, they're like so paranoid. They're like, oh,
Oh,
I don't even like go home with a girl anymore because I'm so worried. It's like, dude, that's fucking paranoia, man.
But you know the thing that guys aren't paranoid about, and I see this a lot on my
Unwanted
forums, and
pregnancy.
my man knows what's up. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. It's like, oh, I busted in this girl without a condom. Like, I'll just see that on my forums and I'll be like, why though? Why? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, do whatever you want. It's your fucking life. But why are you worried about false rape accusation? But yeah, your unwanted pregnancy. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, because that's something that like legitimately happens to people all the fucking time.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah.
Your odds of getting a girl pregnant are like probably a million times higher than getting like a false rape accusation.
That's true.
All right. Question for Natty. Back like 10 topics ago. Do you ever feel pressure on yourself to like build something like what Alex has? Like Alex has clout, Alex has a big channel. Do you ever feel that kind of pressure of like, shit, I got to make something big like that? Or is it more just like, no, I know who I am and what I'm working on and I'm just going to do that?
I do like his lifestyle. I'm not gonna lie. He has a really cool lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So it not the pressure, but some inspiration. Sometimes he does inspire me, and I admire the fact that like his entrepreneurial spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that I definitely do would want to, not necessarily on the niche that he's working on, but yeah, definitely he inspires me a lot. Not that I feel the pressure, but it's sometimes it's like, oh wow, he has such like a cool lifestyle. I'm very proud of what he's built.
It's not really that cool, babe. I mean, I just mainly argue with people on the internet.
I mean, but like you have
That's my
something,
career in a nutshell.
you do make a difference for people's lives.
Sure, yeah, I've helped a lot of people.
I do, and I admire it. Like I'm his biggest fan, and I think that I'm like his biggest fan, his bigger supporter. So there's like a lot of admiration on my side,
You
and
guys are
definitely
adorable.
I've learned a lot from him too. So that's something that I definitely.
What have you learned from me?
You're the boyfriend. I think I've told you that you're the boyfriend I've learned the most about from.
What are some specific things you've learned from me?
I think in terms of businesses, I learned from like ways you can really maximize the type of the coaching business that you have.
Mm.
That's something that I've learned in terms of career. In terms of like personal, I've learned to be a little bit more patient. I think you make me a kinder person. I think that you make me to give the people the benefit of the doubt.
Mm.
I'm
You
super
are very much like that, Alex, with your audience as well. Like when you're talking to people that you don't necessarily agree with.
to listen to people more.
Hmm.
I mean, I've learned from you the dating dynamics, how they actually work, the male
Hmm.
struggle. Before I was kind of like oblivious as to the things that men have to go through. Some of like of basically the male struggle, and that's something that I learned from you. I mean, it's been immense. Like you've been one of the biggest growths I've ever, like the boyfriend I've grown the most with, for sure.
I'll take
Do
it.
you feel like that's been a big reason why you've been so keen to stay around?
I think the main reason has been like we've built something really great. I think that because we started as to okay, let's see where this takes us. There was never infatuation between us.
Mm.
Like we've never had the infatuation phase. We had more like, oh, okay, we have a good time.
I think we're going through that phase right now, aren't we?
No, I think like by this time, like I mean, and we just told each other we loved each other like a few months ago. I mean, our relationship has gone super slow, super super slow. I don't think you can say it's infatuation. I think like infatuation is something that it's instant and it lasts 1 to 2 years max.
Dave,
It's like surface level.
should we tell the story of the "I love you" story? It's pretty
Oh,
Do
funny.
it. Yes, do it.
If you want, it's up to you.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So like I like it was like it was like kind of felt like a little bit of an elephant in the room because like clearly like I love Natty and I could tell she
That
loved
was
me,
us too, yeah.
but we never said it. And I felt like it was like almost like a dick measuring contest, like who's gonna go first. So one night we were like laying in bed. I was like, it's kind of funny. We never said I love you to each other. She's like, yeah. I was like, all right, listen, I'm not gonna be the first one to say it, so let's do it all three. 1, 2, 3. I love you.
I
And then,
said
like,
Aw.
we crossed that bridge. Yeah.
we did cross that bridge.
Ours was like that too. It was like an elephant in the room, and then you said it, and then I spent the rest of the day just going like, "All right, now I know I need to say it back."
You
but
spent
it's
the
like,
rest of the day
it took me a
teasing
fucking
me.
full day. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna do it. Like, just not yet. Like, so we went out for a walk. We went for ice cream. We just dicked around all day, and then I was like, I love you too. It took like the entire day. Yeah.
No, it was right
And
after
he
we
waits
saw.
until like Immy falls asleep, and then he just like, I love
Yeah.
you.
You just whisper
Like,
it. Yeah.
No, it was immediately after we saw a girl. We saw a girl and we didn't like her, and then we said
And that's
goodbye to
the mo-
her, and then afterwards we went for a walk, and and that's when he said it.
Yeah.
After teasing me for the whole day.
For the entire fucking day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do believe that love is something that you build.
Oh
Mostly.
yeah, we've done so many videos on that. I have a video on like don't rush into a relationship, like as in don't rush to the point where you're like, oh, we love each other, we're boyfriend, girlfriend. Like build something. You want to be
Build-
building trust, intimacy, you want to know each other, all of that
build
kind of
it.
stuff. Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
that's something that we built.
Do you feel like people kind of don't it's a weird way of phrasing it, but almost like don't have a lot of respect for the label. Like they'll throw it around.
Yeah,
They're just
it's,
like, I love you.
like, people are like way too loose with like, like I think it's more like not even because love you at the end of the day it's just a word or phrase, but like more of like getting into like a relationship with people they barely know. And like, it blows my mind. Or like getting married after knowing a girl for like
The marriage one, yeah, bro. Like getting married within a year.
But even just moving in again to a serious relationship with someone
Yep.
you've been together for like a short time is you don't really know some like because people can put on an act for a few months, but you can't put on an act for like 5-10 years. So
Correct.
I don't know. I feel like you gotta. There's no because you can always move things forward, but you can't move things backward. So you might as well just like go slow. There's no rush. Like I don't know. I feel like people are like in a rush sometimes.
I think I have a friend who's always in a rush to like find love, and so she falls in love with everyone she meets, and I'm like, you really love them. This is your fifth love of your life in a month.
At the end of the day, the fact of the matter is most people suck. Like especially in Miami where I live, most girls in Miami, most people in Miami, it's not a girl thing. Suck.
Most people might.
So it's like you gotta like I don't know, you gotta like be careful and like you gotta go slow and like screen the person. Like I don't know, like it's statistically the first girl you fuck is not likely to be a good relationship partner. Like I had to, me and Nati were talking about this. I had to go through like 100 fucking ways to get to one of her. You know, it's like
Yeah, me too.
you're kind of looking for like a diamond in the rough or whatever, so as to speak. So it's like it's not even happening.
And just because you have good chemistry with someone does not mean it's gonna translate to a relationship.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
see
there's
like
deeper stuff
how
though. There's other stuff there, yeah.
So
you
like
have to see like their values.
have to see like, oh, does this translate into a relationship? Is this person and I can be, or just because you really like someone does not mean that you and that person match and are compatible.
Yeah, love is not enough. We did a podcast on that as well, yeah.
Yeah, love, it's definitely not.
You guys don't fight much, do you? Like in terms of like big arguments?
No.
No.
You feel like a lot of that is just from the communication, from being honest, from being independent.
I mean, it also kind of like depends on how you define fight. So our fights, like
Okay. Like a fight where you're trying to hurt each other.
Oh, never.
Where you,
no, that's never happened. Yeah, our fight is like a 2-3 hour long phone call at 2 a.m. where we talk really passionately about what's bothering us. That's like.
and is there a mindset of like we want to solve this problem rather than we want to just like throw stuff at each other?
Well, I mean, like I think sometimes when you're like you're emotionally in the moment, maybe I think one of the things that has helped us is when we came to the conclusion that like if you're really upset, it's better for me instead of calling you that night to wait a day.
Yeah,
like,
that was a
cool
big
off.
one for us. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we've never like raised our voices or insulted each other or like attacked each other at all. It's always like talking about the issue. Yeah, none of us have ever like personally attacked the other person or
try to hurt the other person. That
yeah,
would be
that's never happened.
Yeah, I
not
think there's a misconception that like arguments are normal in a relationship, and it's like I don't think they have to be though.
discussions. Discussions are normal, but arguments
I've
where you're getting violent and abusive, no.
Yeah, where it's like two
honestly,
egos trying to prove the other person wrong.
I've never had a situation with any of my girlfriends where I either insulted them during an argument or raised my voice. Like forget like physical, but like that's obviously off limits. But like even like yelling and like I don't know, maybe I'm just like kind of like more calm than the average person, but I've never had that with any of my girlfriends. It's always been kind of like similar to what it is with Natty, where it's just like we just have a discussion about it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes maybe you're upset or something like that, but you're not like, yeah. I feel like
I've never insulted you. Maybe I've said things where like I can be a little crass, but I've never insulted him or said something that or weaponized information that I know about him.
That's a big one. Hey, yeah. I feel like as soon as you do that, it's like you've really betrayed the
That's the
trust.
end of a relationship. That would be the end. Like if Alex, and that's something I told him once. Like
I'm gonna
the,
just stop him real quick. Keep going.
the day you raise your voice at me, that would be the end of the relationship. That would be the first and last time you would raise your voice at me. Like I do not tolerate that because
I
I
think
don't want to.
I think for anyone listening, like I don't think we're saying to be perfect. I would not say that. Like Immy and I have not been perfect, especially in the first couple of years, because I came from a bunch of like violent relationships. Like I just didn't know how to do relationships, and you came from like your parents were divorced. You'd never been in a relationship. You
Yeah,
didn't
I
trust.
didn't have a template for what a relationship should
Yeah.
look like, and there was a lot of fear and doubt and
Yeah.
concern going into it because I think I'd come from a template of like most relationships don't work. We've even talked to each other about like the models that we've had for good relationships, and I was thinking I've never had a close like family relative or example of a relationship that is pretty good. There's always been problems in all of the relationships that I witnessed growing up, and so that was definitely a concern. But I guess what did you think was the biggest or like the most important thing, or is the most important thing for you guys that's meant that you don't have hurtful arguments where you try and hurt the other person? And beyond just like being a chill person, like do you think there's any tangible steps that other people might be able to try so that they can have the dynamic that you guys have?
I would say that for me, I do come from a family where emotional control it's not very. They don't know how to deal with their emotions. I think that for me, it's as I said before, realizing that when you have a problem, look within yourself. And I know it sounds
Yeah.
super cliche and super, but and realize that hey, like this is my problem. How am I gonna fix it? And then you communicate it with the person, but instead of like imposing it on them or giving them ultimatums, you come
Yeah.
from a place of like, hey, look, this is what I'm facing,
Yep.
or this bothers me, and how can we fix it?
Yeah. One thing we say together is like, look, I know this is my shit to deal with, but do you have any like advice for me? Like, I know this is my fucking problem.
Can you help me deal with this? But I'm aware that this is ultimately, at the end of the day, my frustration with you is my shit to deal with.
And I think that like it also helps that Alex is super like understanding and compassionate, and he's like, look, let's work it together. I sometimes can be like a little bit like, oh, that's your problem, but But Alex, it's super understanding.
I think it comes down to probably like emotional control. Like I don't know. Like my parents
Like,
did
as
not
in your
have.
own emotional control. Like,
Yeah, like my parents did
yeah,
not have a good relationship. Like they were my parents are divorced now. They're actually now they're really good friends, but back in the day, they would fight a lot. It was like it was not like a good like role model for a relationship at all. Like they would go like weeks without talking to each other, and then they would like they would hear fights. It was never like physical. There was never like cops involved. No like fucking white trash type of shit. Like there's never anything violent. Never police. Never anything like that. Never like throwing plates. But I could hear them arguing like a lot. So yeah, but I think yeah, just having like really good emotional control and being able to. I mean, I feel like that's one of the reasons I'm pretty well suited for what I do because I do have a high level of emotional control. Like if I'm doing a debate with someone, like I'm really good at like controlling my emotions, not acting out on them.
yeah, you look like
Or
you're not phased by stuff.
yeah, and that I think that comes down to three things. Like one, pickup. Just like learning pickup just gives you because you're gonna get rejected. Sometimes it's gonna be brutal rejection, and like if you get like really faced by that, you're done because that's gonna manifest the next girl you talk to. So pickup, sales. That's probably one of the biggest
Yeah.
things. Doing sales for 4 years, that taught me to a whole new level of emotional mastery. And then the third thing is, as surprising as it sounds, getting Lyme disease and just being at a point where I'm like close to death and like kind of puts things in perspective for me because at one point in my life I was just like literally just from the point I woke up to the point of I went to sleep I was just suffering. So it's like if I could like push myself and still get through the day, then I could probably get through like a fucking 5 minute emotional outburst. But yeah, I think just developing a high level emotional mastery. Like I think that going back to the red pill thing, like like podcasts like Fresh and Fit like to LARP around, say, "Oh, men are logical, women are emotional." But at the end of the day, vast majority of men are very emotional. Like Myron will say that he's like rational as he's literally yelling and fucking at a girl, right? So most men, even it's not just a woman thing. Most men are very, very emotional.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, just being able to like kind of like dominate your emotions instead of being dominated by them. I think is a very, very useful skill to have. And being able to like use your emotions to your advantage. Like you don't want to be. It's really it's gonna be beneficial to you in every single area of life. Career, right? Maybe your boss says something instead of lashing out, you just take it on the chin.
Yeah.
Or relationships, dating. I literally cannot think of any area of your life that will not be benefited by you being able to control your emotions and not being controlled by them. I mean, that's really when people get into trouble is when they just like act out on their emotions and then they regret it. So I think the relationship is no different. I'm not like a fucking sociopath. I still have emotions of like anger and like upsetness, but you wouldn't really be able to tell because I don't act on those emotions, right? I
Yeah.
think that's just something you keep practicing. And I think that's like the talk about like a high value man, money, status, all that stuff is good too. But I think the other component of being a high value man is having a high level of emotional mastery. If you look at someone
Yeah.
like James Bond, right? Does James Bond seem like the kind of guy that would just lose his shit over nothing? Like, so if you like look at like the ideal high value man, it is a big part of it is always been emotional mastery.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
It
talking
can't
about
just it can't
stoicism.
just be it can't just be the external stuff like money, status. It has to be some internal things as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Another thing that I think that also helps is that a lot of people do want to with a power play. A lot of couples do go with that power play thing. Oh, who can have the control?
Yeah.
I want to win.
I
Yeah.
want to.
It's like they're against each other. They're not on the same team. I very much get the sense that you two are on the same team.
So like
Yeah, really, yeah.
yeah, we're not like we don't have that power play. We don't
Mm.
have that like oh yeah, I want to have the power over the relationship or I want to have the control. So I think that's definitely something that's helpful. That I definitely work to not be like oh yeah, I wanna have power over Alex or utilize the things that I know
Hmm.
just to increase my power.
Here's where me and Nati have had this discussion a bunch of times. This is where you and I kind of differ. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like the whole power dynamic because you're very pro power. You're very like oh I need to feel that I have the power. in the
It's,
relationship.
it's not about that actually. I don't actually need to. It's not for my like security or something like that. I don't really care. It's more about like I just learned this lesson like in my 33 years on this planet is that every relationship with your parents, at work, with your friends, with your significant other has an unspoken power dynamic that's being played out. And whoever has more of the power in that relationship is has obviously more control. And I've learned that I know that myself, this is another discussion me and Nati have had. I know that myself, I trust myself more than I trust anyone else on this planet. So I would always rather be the one to have the power in that relationship because I won't abuse it. I know that I will not take advantage of that person. Versus, even though I think like power fucks with people's heads, right? And so like I just never want to be in a position where I have like less than 50% of the power. And I've just kind of structured my life like that. Like with I mean I guess there's some relationships I'm in, quasi relationships where the other person has more power than me. Like if I look at my relationship with Destiny, like obviously he has more power than me. But that's like one of the things that like mildly makes me uncomfortable in that situation. It's like I would rather be the one that has more of the power. Like with the way I structure my business, right? Like I'm the like our like there's a lot of people who work for PWF and they have shares, but I own 55% of the company, right? I have ultimate deciding power because I know that I'm not going to fuck over my employees. And while I may trust the people I work with, I'm not 100% sure that they won't fuck me over. So I've just had like a lot of situations in my life where I've been burned. So I'm just like very conscious of the power dynamics that are at play, and I always want to be the one that is either at least I'm equal, if not more,
So my question here being, because in my mind, I don't think one has a power over the other.
in our relationship.
Yeah, I don't know if in your mind you think you have a little bit of power over me, or you feel that one has the power over the other.
I think it's 50-50, which also makes me mildly uncomfortable. I prefer it was like 70-30.
You still to this day feel uncomfortable about that,
No,
about
I mean I'm kind of trolling. I mean like no, I'm cool with it. It's not like a big deal for me. But if I just have a choice, you say, hey, Alex, I'm gonna wave this magic wand. You're gonna have 75% of the power. I'll take that.
But
and
with Natty though, because wouldn't that like? I feel like that's almost like a false situation because I'm getting the vibes that Natty wouldn't be comfortable with that situation. So like that's almost a hypothetical that can never exist.
with him having the power, like so like I think the power is who can walk away, right?
Yeah, who has more influence?
But I
Yeah,
feel like you could
who
both
needs
just
the
walk
person?
away and be like,
But I feel that
okay,
both of us can walk away.
yeah,
And I
Right.
think another element of power is who loses themselves more into the other person, right?
yeah,
And I think that in our case, we tend to not lose ourselves into the other person. It's completely free. It's like, hey, I want to be with you and I'm working on it. I work on this because I choose to work on this, not because I need you.
Right. And what I'm
yeah.
saying
And
is,
is it even?
I would prefer if Natty was in the need to category.
You would prefer for me to need you.
I mean, we've talked about this a million times. I've explained to you my philosophy on that. I mean, you know where that comes from. It just comes from like my relationship with my dad and like my past business partnerships where I did not have, have the power and I wound up needing that person more than they needed me, led to me getting burned. Because yeah, I trust myself more than I trust anyone else on this planet, right? There are some people who I really trust, but I don't trust them quite as much as I trust myself. So
Yeah, I get it. But I think that like with our relationship, that's what makes it great. It's that no one has really like power over the other. It's like there is like this complete freedom in which doors are open, everything is open. And that's why I'm so okay with him with like the open relationship type of thing, because I'm like a big believer in like, hey, let's each of us be happy and be your best selves in the most.
just give me 2 or 3 years, babe.
I hope that doesn't change because that's what I like about me the most.
You
That's
say
what
that.
I legit like about me the most is that I do open that door and there's not that dynamic. Although I don't
Yeah.
believe relationships are necessary 50-50 all the time.
No, they're
No,
not.
I think if you go that, then you can get into this weird spot where it's like you're
No,
constantly trying to make it 50-50, and it's
no,
almost like equality or something. You're like, well, you didn't do the dishes 5 times this week. I did them, so you need to do more. It's like you become nitpicky, but
there
I
have
know
been
what you mean.
relationships where it has been 90-10.
In whose direction?
I'm sorry.
In whose direction?
Power direction, but like who has to give in more? Like there have been times in our relationships
Oh,
where
with mine, with you and me.
yeah, where like with your health issues, where like I have to be like to give more for the relationship, to be like, hey, like let me take.
But that no, babe. But that puts the power in your favor
No,
because
no, I don't mean power dynamic. I mean kind of like what each person, the weight sometimes the other carries within the relationship.
Sure, and that's part of a
you're talking
relationship.
about something a little different now.
Yeah, no,
Like,
yeah, I'm not talking like that's what I mean. Like when it comes to like a lot of people say like 50-50, it means like the weight people carry within the relationship.
oh, the way, yeah, yeah, that is different. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, I see.
Sometimes like and that happens all the time. There have been times where it's you who carries 90% of the relationship.
No, I think it's always been kind of like you've carried like 55, 60% of it to standardly.
Yeah,
And
like
that's my point, is if you're sitting there saying it has to be perfectly 50-50,
no.
which I know you're not saying, but other people do say that. And it's like, that's when you can start getting resentment because you're like, I'm doing 60 and you're only doing 40.
Yeah,
Sometimes you have to show up for the other person. Like there
Yeah,
have
for sure.
been times that like it's like, okay, look, let me show up for you because like at the moment you can, or you don't want to, or whatever the reason is. So sometimes it's like, okay, let me just be the one who shows up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's important. But when it comes to the power dynamic, I mean, I think that it's unless the person you support the person and like the person is dependent on you,
Mhm.
which I don't even think that's even healthy, because the moment that person finds someone who can do it better, who can meet that need better than you, that's they're gonna leave you.
no,
Or the moment you decide you can't give that anymore because you have your own shit to deal with and like
Yeah,
you can't babysit
you're
the other
talking about
person.
more
Yeah.
like reliability, babe, like or
Yeah.
like
I think I
dependence.
know like power
Different.
dynamic, because like when it comes to power dynamic, I mean, how do you have more power over the other person, right?
Well, in which situation? Give me a
Just in
situation.
general, like in a
Well, if
relationship.
they need you.
Yeah, if you're more willing to walk away than them, then you have more power.
Oh, okay.
Or they need you and you don't need them. You have the power.
Yeah, when they need you, I think that's a very slippery dynamic.
Hmm.
Mm.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Go
What
ahead.
are 3 things you're both grateful for in your relationship? I feel like
Uh,
Nadi's already given like 15.
For me, I would say it's the freedom that I get, although it's not like it's not the sexual freedom, but I'm very thankful for Alex ability to like for the freedom that we have in the relationship, that it's a free relationship.
As in like not controlling sort of thing. It's like you be your
Exactly, that's
person.
like
Yeah.
we let the other person be who they want to be, and that's something that I'm like I love about our relationship. I'm very thankful for the fact that we have a really good understanding that just because what works for the other person does not necessarily have to work for the other person. And
Yeah.
for example, I'm huge. Like if like I'm huge in the time that Alex spends with me, and I don't give him that much of a leeway. I'm like, no, Fridays are my day. But like Alex, he's super chill about it. For example, yesterday I was like, oh babe, I'm gonna hang out with a friend.
yeah, she was getting gang banged by 5 black dudes.
Oh, I went to hang out with a friend to have dinner with my friend, and Alex was super cool about it. Had it been him, who'd be like, "Hey, I'm gonna hang out," I'd be like, "On Friday, on our day off? How dare you, Alex? We made a commitment." I'm very thankful about the fact that we don't try to compete with each other in that
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
And I'm also thankful about the fact that it's a relationship of like we've really worked on having great communication, a lot of respect.
Mhm.
So I'm very proud of that, of what we've achieved. Honestly, I can say that our relationship is one of the most solid relationships around me.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Alex?
Let's see. I'm thankful for the support. Nati gives me massive, massive amounts of support. I feel like I can ask her for anything. So that's definitely a big part of it. The fact that it's really important to me that she gets along well with my mom. That's like really important to me because I'm very
Mhm.
close to my family. So the fact that she like goes above and beyond to like we were in Colombia together, me, her, and my mom, and she was like showing my mom around and like showing her a really good time. That means a lot to me. And let's see what else. Oh, and the fact that Natty's like flexible, like she's cool with me, like doing my thing. She doesn't try to like change me or influence me in any direction. So yeah, probably those three.
Nice. I think you guys have a really nice relationship. It
Yeah.
really comes across on
Sounds
the
really
camera.
positive.
Obviously, it's not the same as when you guys are alone. You fucking know that. We definitely know that, but it comes across on the camera.
Yeah, yeah, we are very, very, we root for each other. I think, especially me. I don't think Alex does that as well as I do,
No, I
but
definitely don't.
I'm definitely very like, okay, you're my best friend. I want you to be happy, and I legit like root for him, and I'm like,
Babe, I want you to be successful as long as you don't make more money than me.
like it's like as long as it doesn't affect me, yes, sure, I want you to be happy. But if it
Hmm.
affects me, he's like, nope. Whereas for me, it's like, look, no, like I want you to be the best you can be, and if it doesn't include me, okay, like let it be.
I love
So,
that.
and I think that's the best thing about what I have with him, at least.
What are you guys working on in the future? Like you can say in the relationship, you can say like goals. What do you guys care about?
We're not really working, at least on my part. We're not really working with anything in the relationship. I feel like that's already like pretty close to perfect.
Mm.
But in terms of like personal goals, I'm working on my health issues because I have some really bad health issues, and my business goals. You know, I want to turn playing with fire into like the next Joe Rogan podcast. So yeah, those are
Nice.
probably the two things I'm working on. Um, yeah, everything else I'm pretty content with.
Yeah, when it
Natty?
comes on my part, I do have some like projects I'm doing on the side towards my career. On the relationship, I do want to work a little bit on things because I feel that when I don't communicate with Alex, I throw him a lot of my BS. And then like I go on this like, Alex, I'm instead of being like, hey, look, I'm feeling lonely at this point. So communicating and asking for what I want in a better way.
One
Mm.
thing that's really helped us, and I think a couple of my coaching clients too, is like writing that shit down. We find if you just write down what you actually want, it's so much easier to like be rational and actually say what
Yeah,
you
I
want. But
agree
in the
with that.
moment, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
yeah. Where so normally we're wrapping up by the way, if you couldn't fucking tell.
Yeah.
But normally I'd just say like, hey, here's Alex's channel playing with fire. But what I want to do is what is the best piece of content that you, Natty, have been in on his channel? And I want
The
to show it on the
best
screen what you
piece
say.
of
Yeah, the
content.
best.
Oh my God,
No pressure.
Alex, I don't even know.
Come on.
Hmm.
Tell
Let
me
me
we're gonna go to it.
Probably would be like one of the
Q and
demo.
A's.
No, I think I know. I think one of the demonstration videos.
Okay, my favorites have been, I don't even know. Oh
Just
gosh,
give me one or two.
Oh, the Steamy and Studio podcast with Natty and Indian P. That was a pretty good one.
that was a good one. I would go for like my favorites are always the Q and A. If you go for the first Q and A we ever did, I
No,
think
I
definitely
don't. Our dynamic was like
the best,
was
but
good.
it's one of my favorite. We were
I think this one is a lot better.
You both just said everything all at once. What am I looking for? Natty Q&A.
If you want to see me beat Natty in debate, type in
I
the
th-
no,
name one
don't.
of them be friends. Debate with
Wait,
my
say all that
girlfriend.
again. Natty.
That's a good one. Can men and women be friends? That's a good one.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So everyone watching, Wait, the
No,
debate?
not
The
that one.
debate.
This one. Yeah,
The
debate.
debate.
Yeah.
Everybody watching, go watch all these videos. I'll leave links in the description to these. Look at this webcam quality, my man. My man.
Look how
at
good
that.
I look in that video
Look
compared
how
to.
handsome.
I
And you're
know.
dressed like Catwoman over there. All right, and you offer coaching, don't you? So if people want to find that, where can they find that?
Yeah, just shoot me an email, playingwithfirechannel@gmail.com.
Easy peasy. And I'll leave links to your channel. Anything else you guys want to shout out? Natty's upcoming content.
No, nothing.
Should we plug the OnlyFans? No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean
Plug the OnlyFans. Go on. Yeah, that's definitely going to be in a video now. Good job, Alex.
Just to
I
have.
mean, I don't know. I feel like that's basically it. I mean, check it if you like the stuff I say. Check out my YouTube channel. Subscribe. That's all I ask for.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was a fun discussion.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for coming on. Yeah.
it's one of my favorites for sure. Thank you so much.